Hello, it's me, it's Val. Happy 10K, everyone. I love you guys so much. I do the two different hearts here because I'm a cuss millennial Gen Z, so I got to do both of them. I'm technically over 10K now. I might have delayed filming this video a little bit. So, as I did for mine when I hit 1K, I did a Q&A, and now 9,000 more subscribers later, that's crazy. I'm doing a 10K Q&A, and I put a form out to all of you guys, and so let's get into it. We're going to do this in segments. So the segments are Hellenism, polytheism, practices and worship, community connection, deities, theology, philosophy and ethics, and then we're going to do personal questions about me. So we'll do that at the end. So first question, the practices and worship. Can one practice Hellenism without having an altar? The short and long answer to this is yes. And honestly, like, an altar can be temporary. So even if you don't have a permanent altar, you could easily just set up a cloth, put a candle on it, and that's your temporary altar for whatever you're doing, whatever you're praying for. Altars and altar sacred spaces are definitely a huge part of Hellenism, but they don't have to be permanent fixtures. They could just be spur of the moment things. Do you think there's a maximum of gods someone can keep charis? I do 6 and I feel like I'm juggling them around. That's a really good question. I don't think there's a hard limit, but there definitely is a limit. The limit is whatever you can handle realistically. For example, you might only be able to really keep charis with 1 or 2 deities, and I think that's perfectly fine. If you're telling me that you're keeping upwards of like 10 deities with like full-fledged charis, I might question that a bit, just in terms of what are you doing with your time? For most of us, that's not realistic. Obviously, if you have a lot of time on your hands, and emotional time, that might be realistic for you, but yeah, there's not a hard limit. You can keep charis with any number of gods, I would say. It's just a matter of how deep that relationship is. How do you honor Hestia? I know she's supposed to be first and last, but what does that mean? What about the eternal flame? I don't have a fireplace in my home and don't want to leave a candle burning 24/7. For this question, I think it's easiest answered for you to check out my Hestia video. But the short answer is you don't need to leave an eternal candle burning. That would be dangerous and unwise. I like to dedicate the pilot light in my oven because I have a gas stove as kind of the eternal flame. You could do the same with a hot water heater, honestly. That's kind of the short answer to that. The long answer would be, I've got a whole dedicated video to that question. Do you have any updated tips or opinions for new people trying to convert to Hellenism since your video series 3 years ago? I am planning on doing an update of that series eventually. I would say not really. And again, conversion, I don't really think that applies in Hellenism in the way that one thinks it does to other religions. Move on to community and connection. How do you find people that are also practicing? That's the age-old question, and I used to wonder the same thing myself. Honestly, I feel like it's hard for me to give advice about that because I'm so vocal on the internet. It's rather easy for me to find people because you guys reach out to me. But I would say the easiest way is Discord. Just join. I have Eros, Alianis linked below. If you'd like to join that, that's a Hellenism Discord server that I'm in. But there's a lot of other like more witchy Discord servers who also have Hellenic polytheists in them as well. That would be my main thing. Do you have any IRL friends who practice Hellenism? Do you find it lonely, and how do you deal with loneliness? That's a big thing. I know one person, IRL, who practices Hellenism, but even then it's hard to get together because even living nearby, it's still not nearby enough. I tend to actually practice more with other different types of pagans and witches. I find that easier for me. I'm lucky that many of my friends went on similar spiritual journeys to me. I do find it lonely, though, to not be with other Hellenic polytheists celebrating the same festival or the same ritual. With a lot of my friends who are more witchy or pagan, they will still participate in the festivals, but it is still definitely different than having someone who's also a Hellenic polytheist. Do your close friends and family know that you practice? How did they react? That's a great question. So if you know my story, grew up in a cult. So a lot of my older friends and family members are very religious. I guess the main thing is they honestly didn't react that negatively, which I'm very lucky for. I mean, my dad definitely doesn't love, but I think he honestly more expected me to become like a demon worshiper, and so he's very confused by the fact that I find divinity within like the clouds, and that I still pray, and that I'll even read the Bible or read Apocrypha or other things from the Hellenistic time period as well, like early Christianity. So, if anything, it's a more he reacted with confusion. We have this agreement that I generally don't really do big rituals at my parents' house. I still pray, I still give offerings, but it's kind of a respect thing, you know. I respect his religion and his boundaries, and I don't live there anymore. It was a whole different story when I lived at their house. But I'm 28, and I haven't lived there for over a decade, so now it's kind of, that's his space. And when I'm there, I more honor the local deities, the local stories, the local nature spirits, in a way that's not obtrusive to him. My friends were all totally chill. I've been pagan and a witch for ages now, so it's pretty much something everyone knows about me when they first met me. There was no real surprise there. It's not like I came out to them. If I did, that would have been, again, like 10 years ago. And most of my friends and I were going through similar spiritual experiences. I also went to an art high school, so again, that kind of tracks with that, where I didn't really have to come out as pagan to them. How do you celebrate Hellenic holidays by yourself? I've talked a bit about this with kind of like the holidays and Dionysia. The answer is it's really hard, and I'm still trying to figure that out. I want to do a deep dive into that, both in my personal life and then to share it with you. Yeah, it's hard. You can kind of find ways to do it. It's hard because a lot of the festivals involve like processions, which you can process around your one-bedroom city apartment, but it's definitely not the same as processing with even one other person. I mostly celebrate with food and music, and meditation is honestly the way that I tend to do it right now, as I don't have great access to an outdoor space anymore. Deities and theology. Who do you turn to when it's hard to keep up with practice? This little guy here. Who do I turn to? That's a great question. I always go back to Apollo. He's kind of an OG for me. I connected with the muses. Aphrodite as well as an OG for me. So I would say Apollo and Aphrodite are the main ones that I turn to, just because I've been with them even before I considered myself a Hellenic polytheist, like ages ago. I find it easy to communicate with them because we have had that relationship for so long. Hermes is also an easy one because he's friend of mortals, and there's a lot of things that he touches in my life, like communications and transit and traffic. So he's also another one who's easy to go to just because he intersects so much with my life. The gods have evolved over the millennia, so how do you see Hades/Pluto in the present day? This is quite an interesting question. To be honest, Hades is not a big part of my praxis. If anything, when I'm dealing with more chthonic deities, it's more Persephone or the chthonic aspect of Demeter. How do I see Hades in the present day? I mean, I think he's a huge presence in the present day. I mean, death is everywhere, and it's not just death, but the decay and the turning death into something new. So I don't really know how much he's changed in that regard. If you're referring to the Hades and Persephone myth, I think it's an aspect of two things can be true at once. I've made it very clear that I hate most modern retellings of that myth because I think they end up being more misogynistic and take the voice away from Demeter and Kore and just kind of make it a love story instead of like actually looking at the nuance. I more see of that as, you know, Hades as a force of death. It's a thing that happens, I guess. So when it comes to that myth, I think, again, it's a paradox, and one has to be comfortable with paradox, that two things can be true at once, that Hades and Persephone can love each other, but that also doesn't mean that Demeter is an overbearing evil mother. Philosophy and ethics. Do you have any advice on how to separate the theoi from their myths? What should we look for in them? Some of the theoi makes a poor show of themselves in myth, and yet obviously there's more to them than meets the eye. Do you suggest how to discern what really matters? I mean, kind of what I just said, getting comfortable with paradox. I don't think myths are literal. Obviously, I believe in science. I believe that there's spiritual reality and there's also a physical reality. And we also have to look at the myths in their context. It's not like the Bible, right, where the Bible is God-breathed, every word of it is true. That's not the same mentality we apply to myths. There is truth in them, but we also have to keep in mind the context of the world in which they came out of and the very real people who wrote them down. One has to look at them and take what is true in your experience out of it. I have this argument with some friends who are really not pagan at all, and they like don't understand how I could possibly worship Zeus. And you have to also look at nature, right? A hurricane is not evil. It's a force of nature. It has no morality. Rain can destroy, but rain can also give life. Like a volcano as well. A volcano that erupts is obviously a horrible thing, but it also replenishes the earth and makes it very fertile for years to come. That's another place where I can see people getting hung up. Okay, I just started talking a whole bunch of exciting things and I wasn't rolling. Anyway, I'm back. I've got fresh bangs, fresh roots, and here we are. And Pumpkin was right there, but then he got offended, so he ran away. So, question that I'm answering. What does Hellenism believe about the afterlife? Again, this is a very big question with many answers. I would say the two most popular beliefs are going to Hades, the judges that judge you in your life, the ferrymen, the river Styx, the Elysian fields. That would be kind of more of like a specific place you go to when you die. The other aspect is a form of reincarnation. And this was an idea put forth mostly by philosophers of that time as this idea that the soul transforms and changes. It has a little bit more nuance than just how we understand reincarnation today. Don't really want to get into all of it, but reincarnation was also a belief. I personally more believe in reincarnation. I don't believe in a concrete afterlife. What's your opinion on Christo-pagans or mixing monotheism with polytheism? Obviously, your own personal journey is personal, if you can make it work for you. As Margot Adler says in her book, Drawing Down the Moon, I'm paraphrasing here, that polytheism can accommodate monotheism, but monotheism can't accommodate polytheism. So the issue on this end is not with the pagan side. In fact, we see examples of, in ancient Scandinavia, of traders honoring both Thor and Jesus. So it did happen historically, and things get really fuzzy with early Christianity, but again, that's more something that you're going to have to reconcile on the monotheistic side, because monotheism does not really allow for polytheism except in like syncretism, which is a valid pathway. Personal questions. How did you get introduced to Hellenism? Yeah, that's a good one. For me, I have always felt very close to the muses, and I felt close to nymphs. Through my connection with both nymphs and muses, I got acquainted with Apollo and Aphrodite. For many years, I was just straight up a modern witch, and I used them in my spell work, but it wasn't until I moved in 2018, I really desperately needed a place to live, and I turned to Hestia, and something about turning to Hestia made me want to be more traditional, I guess. I wanted a stronger focus and not just kind of feel vibe based. And so I literally just like Googled Hellenic polytheism, and then I found a Discord community. That was really my jumping off point. From the Discord community, they had a lot of books and resources. From there, it just kind of snowballed. How has moving affected your practice? Speaking of moving. Yeah, a lot. But I think it's more than just moving. I've increased hours at my job, which has made it very difficult for me to find time. Also, my job moved locations as well, which increased my commuting time. I just don't have as much time anymore as I used to. So that's something that I'm still working on. What do you do when you're not doing YouTube stuff? A whole lot of things. Play D&D, I write, I do circus, I like to make music, I like to do art, I like to LARP, I make costumes, do a whole bunch of things. Did you ever think about joining any organization related to Hellenic polytheism? Of course I've thought about it. It feels lonely to be the only one, but ultimately I either didn't fully align with any organizations, plus there's not really any that are near me, and I don't really find online organizations as worthwhile to join if there's not also a physical presence. Do you still have occasional praxis with Thor and Loki? You've been here a while. I've mentioned it a couple times, especially in my spiritual journey. No, not really. Also, I never really had a praxis with Loki. It was more of Thor, and then I'd find Lokians a lot. Yeah, like I'm still friends with Lokians, but for me, my relationship with Thor is purely an honorary one, where I just kind of thank him and remember him for getting me into this whole paganism journey in the first place. But no, I don't really have praxis with Thor. I don't really have praxis with any non-Greek or Roman deity. And by not really, I mean at all. I guess I do have praxis, whatever you want to call it, with some saints, but I don't really count that as the same thing, if that makes sense. How do you handle slumps in your practice? Well, that's something I'm currently trying to learn. I find having a communal altar great. While I love to build altars all the time, a communal altar is one that is best for me, and I'm able to do a lot more at it and easily say a prayer without having to worry about what's dedicated to who. YouTube and content creation. Okay. What aspect of being a YouTuber do you enjoy the most? Honestly, I love coming up with the ideas and seeing them executed. I love coming up with filming locations or B-roll, everything except for editing, to be honest. Do you have any plans to collaborate further with other cool pagan or Hellenist YouTubers? Sure, I don't have any active in-place plans, but I have nebulous plans, I guess. I'm open to the idea. It's not like I'm saying no more collaborations. I'm open to the idea. I'm trying to get back my own rhythm first. What was the process like for you to become a YouTuber? What was it like to start a YouTube channel talking about polytheism? What motivated you to do it? I talked a bit about this in my 1 year video, like 2 years ago now at this point. What motivated me was that there was basically no one else out there. I think it was just Aliakai. And I think even then, Ali only started like a little bit before me, maybe a few months. Yeah, there was just nothing out there. And I'd always been interested in YouTube since YouTube was a thing. I'd been interested in it, and it just felt like it would work, and it did. What was the process like? Difficult. It's a lot harder than it looks. A lot harder than it looks. Like, obviously you can just whip out your camera, but there's so much more mental that goes into it as well. What's your favorite video you've ever made? Oh, that's a good question. I would honestly say one of my vlogs, like the small devotions, I forget, one with boats and soft music. I think that's one of my favorite videos I've ever made because it was just so filmic to me, so cinematic, and I really enjoyed doing that. It didn't get a ton of views, which I'm fine with, but it was a video I made as part of a dedication to a god, and it's excited my artistic soul. What videos are in the pipeline? I actually have several. One of the ones that I'm gonna do is I want to talk about ancient Greek dress and clothing. That one's a big project though, because I want to be really accurate and also have fun and like also make it more cinematic. So that's in the pipeline, but that might not be until like the end of the year. That one's a big project. And then I'm doing one about spiritual rebirth and tangible steps that you can take to get back on the spiritual horse, as it were. All right, random fun questions. What particular movies make you think of the gods? That's so interesting. Ooh, I should have thought about this more. Honestly, I'm not sure there's movies that make me particularly think of individual gods. I will say The Passion of Joan of Arc. It really resonates spiritually. I would say a lot more older movies really resonate spiritually with me. I love Ingmar Bergman. What's it called? It's not Seven Deadly Sins. It's the one where they're playing chess with death. That one's great. Persona, also great. Hexen, oh my god, I love Hexen. That's a silent film. That one's great. I would say those ones, if anything, make me feel more spiritually. They resonate somewhere within me because they're so beautiful. Have you ever played Hades? What did you think of it? No, I've not played Hades. I don't really play games like that. They don't really interest me. I'm more into like RPGs. I thought it was fine. I thought they did a good job deep diving into parts of the gods that we usually brushed over, like that Zagreus was there. Yeah, I watched some of my friends play it. It seemed fun. I didn't play it for any spiritual reasons. I'm just not super into that style of video game. If you could travel back in time, which era would you choose to live in? This is funny because young Felicity would be like, I would love to live in the Middle Ages, but like, let's be real. I would, if I had to choose any time period to go and live in, it would be none of them. It would be the present day, modern medical care. I know the world's a mess, but I'd rather have modern dental and medical care than live as a peasant in medieval Europe, or even as a princess in medieval Europe, because let's be real, if I'm a princess and I get a tooth infection, no amount of money the king has is going to solve that. I guess places I would like to visit, although me visiting would probably kill all of them with diseases, but let's pretend that that wouldn't happen. I would probably visit the Renaissance, especially Renaissance in the Holy Roman Empire in Prague. Specifically, I think it's really beautiful. As much as I hate the Victorians, I do think I would like to visit just once, because I think their architecture is so beautiful. But that's about it. I think I would just like to visit once the Victorian age and then like punch some people and then leave. How long did it take you to become confident in making your own clothes? This question's funny to me because like confidence has nothing to do with it at all. It's just pure audacity. Not even that. It wasn't a confidence thing. For me, it was like I'm sick and tired of clothes not fitting me. It was a frustration thing, ironically. And even now, again, it's not a confidence thing. I don't really finish the edges of clothes I make because I'm too lazy and I'm impatient. So it's more of just like I know I can make this basic shape, and just don't use the nice fabric first and then go from there. Do you play chess? I do not. People think I'm good at chess, but they really underestimate how bad I am at chess. It's very hard for me sometimes to get into new games unless someone else has already played the game, because I cannot translate reading rules into physical gameplay. So some people have offered to teach me chess, but it's just not something I'm interested in. No other questions, just a massive thank you for your work. Your channel, your Patreon, and Patreon have been a great help for me. I struggle with ADHD too. The way you balance content creation and keeping it real is an inspiration. Thank you for all your work. I'm glad I try to keep it real because like it is real for me. I know you guys see me at the end of a camera and like you see me after all the work is done. You don't see me sitting here freaking out because I have to make a video, or I procrastinate by playing Minecraft for like an hour and a half instead of making a video. So I try really hard to keep it real because I know what it's like to watch YouTube videos and also be a YouTuber and like be like, why can't I just do that? And it's because it's so freaking hard. I'm trying to give myself more grace, which is why I try to keep it real. Can you tell us about your cat? Will you introduce them? I would introduce him, but he just went down the hallway to lick his empty food bowl. It is that time of day. He's a great little guy. I've had him for, I think it is 9 years now. Yeah, I got him in 2016. He came from a barn at my parents' house. He's a little, there he goes. He's in the kitchen. Come here. No, he's just staring at me. He's got 5 other siblings who I've met. His mom was a staple at my parents' property for years. She was a queen. My parents get feral cats from time to time, and one of them came to me. So anyway, on that note, thank you all so much for 10K, 13K now at this point, and I'm really hoping, I know I keep saying I'm really hoping to get back in schedule, but I'm working on some things behind the scenes to actually put my money where my mouth is, actually get the work done. So with that, thank you so much. I love you guys. Thank you so much for all your support, and especially to my patrons. You guys are awesome and have been awesome over the past 2 years especially. With that, I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.
Shout out to my patrons $5 and up: Anarcho Witch, Annie Nagel, Ikeda Hakubi, Little Raven, Mitchius Porcius, Thistle, and Tiny Apple.